A brand new CNN analysis ranks the 9 Senate races most likely to flip and decide control of the upper chamber. 6 are Republican held. 3 belong to Democrats. Win a few, the majority is yours. Of course, this is a map that will evolve over the next 124 days. I'm joined now by a terrific group of reporters, including Arlette Saenz. Arlette, you wrote the analysis piece for CNN.com on this. And so I'm going to put up on the screen the 9 seats, the 9 races that we're looking at the closest. And you can see there, and here are the rankings. You start with number 1, North Carolina. Which is now a GOP-held seat. That is most likely to be a Democratic pickup. Maine, we're going to talk about this in a second, as number 2. And then you go through to Michigan, Ohio, Alaska, all the way out here, Iowa, Georgia, and then Texas is last. Oh, I forgot about New Hampshire. There you go.
Yeah. Well, these are the 9 states where the battle for control of the Senate will play out. And for the first time, we are ranking them in order of most likely to flips. This is really based on our conversations with various strategists who are involved in the races, polling, and a host of other factors. But North Carolina does top that list right now for Democrats. It's under Republican control. This is a state where a Democratic senator has not been elected since 2008. Then moving on with the list, we go up to Maine, then move over, which is also under Republican control,
this is obviously the Susan Collins, Graham
Plattner. Then we move over to Michigan, where there is still a very unsettled Democratic primary playing out there. If Democrats have any chance of winning back control of the Senate, they need to hold on to Michigan because they would still need to flip 4 Republican-held seats. Then you go into a host of red territory. All of those states, Ohio, Alaska, Iowa, currently held by Republicans. Then further rounding out the list is Georgia, where a presidential battleground state where you do have a very strong Democratic candidate in Jon Ossoff. And then you have New Hampshire and Texas. I know we'll get a little bit more into these races, but this is just a snapshot in time. It certainly will adjust over the coming months, but these are the 9 states where the battle for the Senate
Let's zero in on what you call number 1, which is North Carolina. And this is just the latest Fox News poll. One of the reasons why Democrats are so bullish, and analysts as well, is because of, this is a New York Times poll, of Roy Cooper, who is a popular governor and running to be the state's senator. And he's fair. I mean, this is obviously, there's got almost a 5% margin of error, but still, given the fact that this, as you said, this hasn't been a Democratic held seat in years, he's got a pretty comfortable margin right now.
Right. I was about to say, I've been talking to Republican sources this week as well, and they're looking at North Carolina as their most endangered seat in terms of those to flip. And which is interesting because there's been a lot of ink about, what's going on in Maine, obviously bloody primaries elsewhere in the state, in both parties. But North Carolina, first of all, it hasn't actually gotten a lot of attention for how important it is because, first of all, the candidates are both sort of boring and kind of low profile. But you're right, Chuck Schumer got an excellent candidate in Roy Cooper, the former governor. And I've heard some concerns about Republicans just about the quality of Mike Whatley, the Republican candidate who is very allied with Trump. He's seen as President Trump's pick, former chair of the RNC. I've heard from concerns from Republicans in the state that while the Trump, association helps, he needs an identity that goes beyond Trump, particularly if you want to tell voters to vote for me for senator, to be in there for 6 years beyond when Trump is out of office.
Yeah, and I mean, also, anyone who's seen Michael Whatley speak or, do an event knows that he's just not a dynamic candidate. He's not out there wooing the crowd. I mean, there is a reason that Trump waited to weigh in on this primary or on this candidate because he was waiting to see if Laura Trump was going to run. He was looking at other candidates. He likes Michael Whatley. The White House likes Michael Whatley, but he doesn't necessarily energize the crowds, and that's going to be part of the issue as well.
But let's look at let's look at one red state, which is actually one of the most interesting, and that is Iowa. This is retiring Senator Joni Ernst's open seat, so it is a GOP-held seat. And we just saw primaries to decide who's going to be the nominees. Ashley Hinson is the Republican nominee, who is somebody who is Democrats and Republicans look at her and think that she is a very talented candidate, probably one of those who can potentially beat the odds against Donald Trump everywhere, and including that state. But right now, again, this is a Fox poll that just came out. Josh Turek, who is the Democrat, is leading her. As we said at the beginning, 124 days is like eternity, an eternity in politics. But still, the snapshot is interesting.
This is interesting, and I think you hit the key point when you said that she has a chance to beat the odds when it comes to Donald Trump, too, right? I mean, Ashley Hinton is somebody that has aligned herself with Donald Trump. She does. A large part of her support comes from MAGA voters as well. But this race has a theme that's emblematic more broadly when it comes to the Senate map right now, and that's, does the frustration, and in time support, but frustration with Donald Trump seep down to impact these races? Does the frustration and disapproval with the economy right now seep down and impact these races? This is a great example of that, particularly when you have a candidate that has really aligned herself with Donald Trump as she goes against somebody who has proven to be popular in Josh Turek.
Let's go back to Georgia, and that is on your ranking, you have it as number 7 as the potential to flip. It is a Democratic held seat, 2 of them actually in Georgia right now. But this particular race is, of course, Jon Ossoff trying to keep it and prevent it from going from D to R. And look at this. I mean, this is a senator who got in, you know, barely by the skin of his teeth in runoffs in a very dramatic way in 2020. And so far, it's not even close in the polling. I mean, Jon Ossoff is doing much better than Mike Collins. Now, there was just somewhat recently a primary where Mike Collins had to fight fellow Republicans to get this, but still.
Yeah, I mean, this has the potential to narrow, but 13 points is a pretty wide margin. And Senator Jon Ossoff has really, Democrats have felt, has been a very strong candidate. He's an incredibly strong fundraiser. He has this way of making these speeches that they can clip moments that then go viral. Of course, there's a lot of buzz about him, about whether if he survives the Senate race, could he have his eye on the White House in 2028? But Republicans for several months, even before the primary had been settled, had been expressing some anxiety around the Georgia Senate race. They had really hoped that the state's governor, Brian Kemp, would get into this race. He's very popular. He did not decide to run, and then he backed a candidate who he could not get over the finish line. And so there's a lot of different dynamics at play here in Georgia, but it's one of those states, it's a consequential battleground for president every single year. And right now, Jon Ossoff does appear to be in a good position as he seeks re-election.
Well, and there's also a lot of Republicans who are concerned that Collins hasn't been vetted properly and that there might be some skeletons there. There
Mike
might
Collins.
be things. Yes, Mike Collins. That there might be something there because they are concerned that he's not really had a big public race, and they want to make sure that they have the strongest candidate. He's very new to the scene, and you know, if we look at the way President Trump handled this, he didn't endorse until he knew that Mike Collins was going to win, looking at both of these candidates. So, you know, Republicans still are a little skittish. Was he the best? Was he the strongest candidate to put out there? And we'll find out.
Let's go back to your rankings and let's look at number 3 on the list. This is Michigan. It's a Democratic held seat. Again, it's open because Senator Gary Peters is retiring. And this is one of those, as you said, that is very, very competitive on the Democratic side. The primary is not going to happen until later this summer. We did have some news this morning, which is that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez formally endorsed one of the Democratic candidates, Abdul El-Sayed, in this critical Michigan Senate race. And so, you know, one of the questions is whether or not he will win and how that will sort of play out, considering that he is further to the left than the other Democrats running, and how that will play in a purple state when he's going to be running against former Republican Congressman Mike Rogers.
Yeah, there's a couple themes here, right? I mean, and it does expose sort of the factions in the Democratic Party. It does raise a challenge of the person who might be popular when it comes to a primary. How do you then take some of those views and translate it to a general? And we know there can be a bridge there, right? It can be a gap. It can be different. The AOC endorsement's also interesting, just from when you look at her in isolation, because she's actually been hesitant to really get out there and endorse some of even the progressive candidates that we've seen, even though we're coming off a week where we've seen a lot of wins coming from the progressive flank. You do wonder if sort of that momentum after New York as well as Colorado provided an incentive to sort of get in there and actually come with this endorsement.
Let's just look at the current balance of power so we have a proper context of what needs to happen in order for Democrats to flip. It's a hill. It's a pretty steep hill, Arlette.
Yeah, it is. Democrats, with the current makeup, they would need to hold on to all of their seats and flip 4 if they were to regain control of the Senate. But so much of this battle is going to play out in these states that have been red and trending even more red in recent years. The question is whether those dynamics might be changing with this election, especially as there's frustration with President Trump and the economy. You know, Republicans have been long hoping that there would be some type of resolution to the conflict with Iran, that could potentially ease some of the economic concerns. But right now, given all the volatility we've seen, there's really no guarantee that that's going to happen before
Thanks for bringing
November.
us this great analysis and reporting. Appreciate it.